Hello students, in this audio session I will continue my discussion with the question answer from Ailing planet. I have discussed in my previous audio session up to this particular question or related to this question, how is population responsible for the environmental degradation. Now I will continue with the next one. What does more children mean to the poor section of people in India? Poverty is directly caused by illiteracy, that is one, and another reason is lack of awareness. So, illiteracy is one factor, lack of awareness is another factor. The illiterate and uninformed poor people of India believe that more children bring more income, more hands, and it will be more workers, more income. But they don't think that more mouths to feed. That is the very important social problem. More mouths to feed, and that will give rise to more poverty. In fact, more children means more responsibility and more poverty and an unhealthy family and an impoverished individual and society. Not only that, population begets poverty, and poverty ultimately leads to unhealthy family environment, and obviously it will be a resultant curse to the individual and to the society as a whole. Now I am moving on to my next question. What does Mr. Edgar S Alert mean by assuming the post of his company's chief environment officer? Edgar Alert, chairman of DuPont, an international manufacturer, by co-assuming the post of the company's chief environmental officer, that is we call CEO, stands a model for the owners and chairpersons of all the industries worldwide. He has actually set an example, not only for his own corporate section or corporate branch, but also for the chairpersons and owners all over the world. He implies that the chief motive of an industry is to preserve the stability and life of the earth, whereas profit comes next. So he paid more emphasis on preserving the earth resources, and then only the second criteria he told us to pay attention is profit. We should not think about profit at the very beginning. We should think about how to preserve, and not only preserve, how to protect the earth resources. Profit is secondary. The foremost priority, or the primary priority according to him or according to his belief or ideology, is that we have to protect and preserve the earth resources. Profit is secondary. Profit comes next. Now I am moving on to my next question. Margaret Thatcher says, and here I quote, very, very important question. No generation has a freehold. Freehold means a free access. No generation has a freehold on this earth. All we have is a life tenancy with full repairing lease. How is this statement significant today? What is the importance of this statement today? Or how is this statement very much significant today? Everyone says it is my land and that is your land. We divide among ourselves that this is my portion of land, that is your portion of land. People fight for other territories, we know it, and encroach the neighbor's land. It is here what British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher observation gains importance. We are not supposed to occupy the earth considering that the planet belongs to us. It is not our own individual property. Planet earth actually belongs to every one of us. And that we can exploit the planet any way we like. We can't do that. we don't have an authority to exploit the earth resources the way we like it. We, on the contrary, have to extract the resources so carefully and so tactfully. I told you all regarding this. Earth resources should not be consumed beyond limit. Then obviously it will put the burden on the four principal biological systems: fisheries, croplands, grasslands. We talked about all this. So we have to use it very, very carefully. So let me continue. We, on the contrary, have to extract the resources so carefully that the generation that comes after us will have a better land and sea, more dense forest, cleaner water and clearer sky. So we have to use it so tactfully that not only we be benefited but also our future generation be benefited from this. I am moving on to the next question. Next question is, what are the ethical obligations, that is the moral responsibilities we have towards our earth or towards our planet? Human beings have the greatest obligation to the earth to safeguard this planet from all advancing deterioration and keeping it safe so that it can be handed over to the coming generation to inhabit here peacefully and in the midst of abundance. Now the important thing is that it is definitely our moral responsibility to be the stewards and the responsible trustees of the earth resources, so that not only we can enjoy and we can use it, but also for our future generation also. So I am going through that line once again. Human beings have the greatest obligation, responsibility, duties we can say, to the earth to safeguard. The meaning of safeguard is protect this planet from all advancing deterioration or downfall, and keeping it safe and secure so that it can be handed over to the coming generations to inhabit here peacefully and in the midst of abundance. Abundance means plenty. How do you explain the concept of sustainable development? Very important. Sustainable development, it actually means, the bottom line is equal distribution of natural resources. Sustainable development is possible when there is equal distribution of natural resources. Now we have to elaborately explain this concept of sustainable development. So let me continue. Sustainable development is the kind of developmental activity that meets, actually it is written in your text, caters the needs of the present. Caters means that actually meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. This kind of development is expected to be undertaken without stripping the natural world of its resources that the future generations would need. Now we have to tactfully utilize and reutilize the natural resources in a very careful, in a very tactful manner, so that the future generation can also use it for their betterment. Now I am moving on to the next question. How do fisheries, forests, grasslands and croplands, the four principal biological systems that Lester Brown highlighted in his book, The Global Economic Prospect, how do fisheries, forests, grasslands and croplands form the foundation of global economic system? A majority of the world population depends on seafood. And there is a line, it's a famous line, protein hungry and protein conscious world. So seafood demand is sky high. So we are actually crossing the limit while extracting the food from the seafood, particularly fishes. So a majority of the world population depends on seafood for its survival, while forests provide firewood for cooking, raw materials for production and timber for construction. Grasslands are the destination of cattle and herds of animals, and without them domestic and wild animals the global economic system cannot survive. So we need all the four principal biological systems to operate in a better manner, systematic manner. Now, if over excess of any of these systems is there in the world of nature, then it indirectly affects the other biological systems also. Each one is depending on the other for survival. Just now I told you all regarding this. There are nations except the Gulf countries that depend on petroleum. The Middle East countries, the Gulf countries, it depends on crude oil. It depends on petroleum. That solely depend on forest and fisheries and croplands for trade and survival. Sustenance, actually this term is a synonym. It means survival. Thus, forests, grasslands and croplands form the foundation of global economic system. So finally we can say forests, grasslands and croplands, they form the foundation of global economic system. Now I am moving on to the last question. Is Indian constitution capable of safeguarding its forest? Our constitution, is it capable of safeguarding the forest? So far, with all the measures adopted, the government has not been able to safeguard the forest effectively. That is, according to Indian constitution, Article 48A, preservation of natural resources, forest and wildlife, it is written only in the constitution. It has not been successfully implemented at all. Indian constitution is ostentatiously rich and effective, but when it comes to enforcement, it miserably fails or it is not entirely successful. That is the reason in Article 48A, protection of wildlife species and environment is written. It is written only, but it is not so successfully enforced. So I am coming to the last line only. Indian constitution is ostensibly rich and effective, but when it comes to enforcement, it miserably fails or it is not entirely successful at all. So that ends my audio session lecture regarding the question answers of the Ailing planet. I discussed both the broad and the short questions because it is mix up. It is in a miscellaneous way. In this particular document it was there. So I hope you have understood a bit. Listen to all the audios including this, and if there is any doubt you can clarify and clear your doubts. Thank you students. Thank you all.